Long before OpenAI unleashed ChatGPT in 2022, igniting what's become known as the tech industry's AI wars, Google was working for upwards of 2 decades to implement artificial intelligence into its long-term strategy. So that includes using AI technology for some of its consumer-facing products such as Gmail and Google Docs, and machine learning for its advertising products, which actually accounts for most of Google and Alphabet's revenue. Now, Google Cloud is also a core component of its AI strategy, and the Magnificent Seven company is also testing out adding AI-implemented answers into its flagship search product. Oh, hey Google, when is that rolling out?
We've been testing this experience outside of labs, and we are encouraged to see not only an increase in search usage, but also an increase in user satisfaction. I'm excited to announce that we'll begin launching this fully revamped experience, AI Overviews, to everyone in the US this week, and we'll bring it to more countries soon.
Evelyn Mitchell-Wolf is a senior digital advertising and media analyst at eMarketer.
As consumers and businesses adopt and become more comfortable with AI, there will be more opportunities to upsell those customers so that they are using more advanced, more expensive models. And Google plans to incorporate AI into its core search product. But that's kind of one of the areas of its strategy where there are more questions than answers at this point, I would say.
Which is leaving some on Wall Street searching for clarity, says Eric Savitz, who covers Google for Barron's.
We'll see. I mean, they think that they can overcome this issue. And I would note that in their March quarter earnings, there were no signs of problems. They had better than expected results in Google search and in YouTube search and YouTube advertising. So it hasn't been a problem yet.
Mitchell-Wolf notes Google's AI-powered advertising product, Performance Max, has been readily adopted. Advertisers put in their goals in their budgets, and then Google does the rest. But Max users have had some concerns.
Advertisers are not thrilled with the lack of control and the lack of granular reporting that comes with Performance Max, but it does keep growing because advertisers do feel like it is performing well, even if they can't see the details of how it's performing.
Competing with Google, Microsoft and Amazon both operate AI advertising applications. Microsoft, though, is smaller than Google, particularly in the search advertising space. Amazon has a growing influence, but more so as a retail media player. Google operates primarily in the search space, and more broadly in digital advertising. Then there's one of Google's big AI initiatives, the Gemini chatbot, originally called Bard, a competitor to ChatGPT, Anthropic's Claude, and the new Meta AI. The company recently began charging about $20 a month for a Gemini Advanced subscription.
I haven't heard that a ton of businesses prefer Gemini over ChatGPT. I think that Google's being later out of the gate with that product did hurt it in that respect. Yeah. But performance-wise, I'm hearing that Gemini is pretty solid, a few stumbles aside.
With AI technology, there's an element of randomness. Every search query might return a different answer, and that can equal risk for businesses. Google in February came under fire for its Gemini tool, outputting what the company described as inaccuracies in some historical image generation depictions, with results portraying America's founding fathers as well as Nazi-era German soldiers as people of color. The tech giant quickly scrambled to address the issue, apologizing for, quote, missing the mark.
There's a creative element that results in unpredictability. You might get an answer that seems inappropriate or dangerous or just flat out in error, right? This concept of hallucination, that sometimes the software seems to be making things up. And honestly, people don't entirely always understand the processes that they've created. And that's kind of a little scary that no one can really explain it.
But Google does have a competitive advantage because the tech giant controls its own AI infrastructure.
Some of these other AI software startups, for example, that are doing large language models, don't have their own infrastructure. So they're relying on Amazon or Microsoft or Oracle or Google, right? They have to pay them for compute time, which is very expensive. And another important element of this is To build an effective AI language model, you need a lot of data, right? So you just need a lot of data. And Google has like more data than like anybody.
Savitz says being an AI contender is first a battle of might.
This is like the big kids table, right? Like you can't do this on a wing and a prayer, and
With Microsoft, Amazon, Meta, and Google's deep pockets, experts say these companies are expected to spend some $200 billion this year on data centers to run AI workloads. According to Google CEO Sundar Pichai, over 70% of generative AI startups rely on Google's cloud infrastructure and AI capabilities. Google's even designed its own AI chip and is on the 5th generation of what it calls the TPU. The tech giant's hope with these efforts is to be the dominant force behind creating a frictionless pathway to a fully experienced AI, just like what Google became known for with search shortly after the early days of the internet.
That will take a lot of time and a lot of effort, not just on Google's part too. This is an ecosystem-wide change.
Tech giants are seemingly betting it all on AI. Potentially late to the party is Apple, which has not yet announced a clear AI strategy. Experts expect announcements at the 3rd World Developers Conference in June. And Savitz estimates the technology will be a $1 trillion market by 2030. So what other choice is there?
To me, this feels a little like the early days of the internet, or the early days of cloud computing, or early days of smartphones, where if you made a conscious decision not to participate in this market as a technology company, you're making a very contrarian bet that the rest of the world is wrong. And I don't see anybody doing that.
So when it comes to the AI wars, where does Google fall? Is Google a leader or a laggard?
In a lot of ways, Google is definitely a leader in the AI wars, simply because it has been investing in AI for a really long time. And while there have been a few very public stumbles, it's also got a great team with great leaders working on this day and night, trying to make sure that Google stays in at least one of the leading positions.
For Investors Business Daily, I'm Meredith Heyman.